it's Maddie, and today I'm going to be talking about annotating notes and how to highlight and write notes in literature to help you analyze them later. My boyfriend is actually in the same room and he's doing homework on his computer, so if there are weird clicking noises in the background, it is because of that. Let's get started. So I take really detailed notes, and so I'm just listing all the supplies that I generally use when annotating literature. So for my method of analyzation, I use a pencil, a pen, a highlighter, these thin post-it strips, index cards, a book, and either a notebook that's for the course or a separate notebook for notes. Okay, so when I annotate my books, I usually use a pencil and a highlighter and those sticky post-it notes. And what I generally do is I usually highlight specific passages and then write notes next to certain key elements, plot details, and themes in the margins. I'm definitely someone that likes to write in my course books. I don't write in books that I read for fun, or not for school, I guess. But books that I do for school, I really enjoy writing in the margin just because it gives me a chance to put down my thoughts in the moment, kind of write down why I picked what I highlighted. For example, this is Titus Andronicus by William Shakespeare, and something that I highlighted was a reference to Ovid's story about Terrace, Philomela, and Procne, and so this book has plenty of Ovid references, so we were specifically reading the story of Philomela, and so I thought it was important to highlight and annotate down a specific instance when that poem was referenced. This is also after an important moment in the play, and one of the characters was mutilated, and the way that they describe her body is using Shakespeare used a blazon, which is usually starting from like the woman's hair, her face, and describing parts of her body, generally to her chest. And so this was an example of the use of a blazon, and rather than describing her beauty, he was describing her mutilated body. Now, where my pen generally comes in handy for my books, in class, when I bring my course material, if we are talking about certain plot points or passages in class that I didn't notice myself, I usually underline those in pen just to highlight maybe certain things that I missed while I was doing my own reading. And I generally use pen when I am writing notes in like a notebook or something. I don't use pencil ever. Also within my book, I usually, certain acronyms that I usually use, I usually do CR next to certain passages, and I put a little note next to passages that I would like to relook at if I want to do a close reading on it in the future. That's also where these kind of come in handy. I generally use these to mark passages that I highlighted and annotated, or that we talked about in class that I didn't previously put down. Now, I know there are some people that don't like writing in their books, and I have also done a different method for not writing in books, and that is the use of index cards. Classes that we generally read more contemporary literature, I usually opt for index cards because I may want to lend the book out to a friend, or I may read over again, and sometimes I don't want notes in the margin, and so I use index cards instead. Normally I put just the chapter, and then I write the page number and a crook a quick description of what I was thinking as I was reading that page and kind of why it was important. I still utilize those post-it sticky notes just because it makes it easier in class when I'm trying to find the page and flipping through it. And those come off super easily. But I use index cards to kind of write down my thoughts instead of writing them in the margin. I write them on here, or a good folder to keep these in while you're like going to and from class. 5-Star has like a really nice folder on the inside. It has a little pocket that is like the perfect size for index cards. So as to help me bring them to class and not lose them, that's a really helpful pocket. Also with my index cards, I number each index card just in case if they get mixed up, then you can put them back in the proper order. Generally to kind of like make the marks and stuff in my margin or on the index cards more concise, I usually put things like great plot point, repeated theme or word, CR for close reading, and I utilize like little stars and asterisks to kind of make things stand out more. Or if you don't want to use index cards and you're afraid that you're going to lose them, I would recommend maybe getting like another small notebook. Something like this. I got this from Walmart and it was on sale for 50 cents and it is lined, so maybe something like this would be helpful when you're taking notes but you don't want a full-size notebook, so a small journal like this would be really helpful. I tend to like index cards just because they're super compact and you can just fit them into the pages, so you can start off where you left off. So again, I use these tabs to pick out specific pages that I thought were pertinent to class discussion and class themes, and they're super helpful when you want to quickly reference a page and like from the outside like you look super smart and that like you did the reading, so you come to class prepared with maybe passages that you thought were interesting or passages that you had a question on, so they just make it really convenient to go to specific pages that you enjoyed. And also if I'm reading a book that is not as like in depth as maybe like a Shakespeare book, if we're just reading like more of a contemporary literature book, I usually just write directly in my course notebook. I write down just the page number and maybe quick plot points. I do that as well. I usually write in a different color than the pen that I use in class, and that's just another way that I take notes on books that we're reading in class that just gets me up to date on like what's happening in the plot. So if it's not something that is really heavy on symbolism or deeper meaning, that method is just like a little bit better for like surface level or, you know, writing down certain passages that you want to do for a close reading. I really also recommend writing in your course notebook maybe just like a small like summary or paragraph or like a couple page numbers that have passages that you want to talk about in class, so right when you get to class you have something to say, and it gives you a little bit more confidence, because if you have something already, you know, intelligent that you want to talk about, it may help you have the confidence to actually say it in class. I generally don't have a problem speaking in class. I like talking in class discussions, but if you have a problem, you know, talking about something, writing it down first really helps you have the courage and confidence to speak up. And that is it. Thanks so much for watching. I take notes differently for history, so if you want a video about how I take notes on history books or how I compile all of my notes for a history test, I will definitely do that. Generally I utilize like the tabs and highlighting more so, and I usually use my laptop for history notes just so I can easily do Control F to find them on Microsoft Word when I'm studying. It's a lot faster and it's easier. Don't really use my computer really for any other note taking just because I don't really get much out of it. I will be trying to get videos every Monday and Thursday for the rest of the month and the rest of the month of October. I'm trying to set some more goals with this channel and being more consistent with uploading. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!